Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now, today, I'm gonna obviously do what the actual thing says to do, but before I do, I will have to say this. Out of the 4 Mondays that I could actually do episodes on, I am dedicating 3 to African American related stuff because it's Black History Month. What I specifically do may vary. Like, I was thinking maybe doing thoughts on for African American pundits, I guess, but I think maybe it would be a bit fair if I did one on the pundits and one on a theory or something. Maybe I'll just do one about 2 large African American pundits, and then, but the last one of the last Monday will be, of course, the Pluribus Unum Awards. Woohoo! I don't know if I said that I was gonna do them early Monday or last Monday of February, but this is how it's gonna be now. Last Monday in February, so. If you haven't voted yet, go vote now. But anyways, let's get right into the news. Some Democrats float the idea of primarying Ocasio-Cortez. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has infuriated colleagues by aligning with a progressive outside group that's threatening to primary entrenched Democrats. Now some of those lawmakers are turning the tables on her and are discussing recruiting a primary challenger to run against the social media sensation. At least one House Democrat who has privately urged members of the New York delegation to recruit a local politician from the Bronx or Queens to challenge Ocasio-Cortez. What I have recommended to the New York delegation is that you find her a primary opponent and make her a one-term congresswoman, the Democratic lawmaker who requested anonymity told The Hill. You've got numerous council members and state legislators who have been waiting 20 years for that seat. I'm pretty sure they could find numerous people who want that seat in the district. It doesn't work the other way around, I'm afraid. You don't take the young, charismatic, new person and then replace them with someone that's been in Congress for 30 years. You don't replace an Ocasio-Cortez with a Joe Crowley. It doesn't work that way. It's not supposed to work that way. You're supposed to replace the old face with the new face. Ocasio-Cortez is 29. She's new. That's what people keep saying. We need to inject new blood in the Democratic Party. Well, here you go. People keep saying that, but people are literally just trying to inject old blood back in. And here's another thing. If I was the person who was writing this article, and then a Democrat said, like, hey, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna primary this person, but don't name me, I'd be like, well, sorry, buddy. Your name is gonna be out there because, like, I don't even get it. Like, this shows that this is a shady Democratic deal. And, well, what a surprise. Shady Democrats doing a shady Democrat deal. I mean, if the Greens wanted to primary one of their own, they'd come out and say it. They'd say, I don't think this person agrees with the Green Party ideals, so let's primary them. I mean, that's just a given. But go ahead, run a candidate, see who wins. See if the young, charismatic person who has been making headlines across the world is gonna lose to, say, some guy from New York who's like, oh, I've been in the city council for 30 years. Let's see who wins. The next story, somewhat tying to African American history. Stacey Abrams to deliver a Democratic response to Trump's State of the Union. Abrams, who lost a tight race in Georgia in November, stolen, would have been the first African woman elected governor. Georgia Democratic gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams speaks to supporters. That's just describing the picture. Stacey Abrams, who lost a razor-thin race for governor in Georgia in November, will deliver the official Democratic response to President Donald Trump's State of the Union address to Congress next week. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said Tuesday that he had extended the invitation to Abrams 3 weeks ago in the middle of the partial government shutdown. "I was very delighted when she agreed," Schumer said. "Abrams is a great spokesperson and an incredible leader," he added. This actually kind of worries me, to be quite honest. I like Stacey Abrams, kind of, but the fact that the Democratic establishment seems to be very open to her makes me slightly worried. Is she that progressive? She seems so progressive. Just as Democrats in our revolution endorsed her, I think. But these big corporate Democrats seem to be very open to her being the spokesperson for them. And, well, that doesn't necessarily bode well if she's a true blue progressive. But maybe they just like the fact that she's black. Let's just hope that's the only reason she's a black woman. I would honestly love if that was the only reason they liked her. Or if the Democratic Party was actually moving to the left. I'd like that too. But, that's not going to happen. So, next story being an update from something going on in North Carolina. NC Governor appoints a new election board amid probe of disputed House race. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper on Thursday appointed a new state elections board that will continue the investigation of claims of absentee ballot voting irregulations in the disputed 9th District race. Cooper appointed 5 members, 3 Democrats and 2 Republicans, to the new board. These include Democrats Stella Anderson, Jeff Cameron III, Bob Cordell, as well as Republicans David Black and Ken Raymond. The new members held a meeting by phone Thursday afternoon, unanimously selected Cordell to be the chairman. Republican Mark Harris leads Democrat Dan McCready with 905 votes, but the old state election board refused to certify the results amid mounting allegations in an absentee ballot scheme in 2 rural counties in the district. So, this is still being decided. Why not just hold a new election? At this point, you've been seated. There hasn't been a person in that seat for months. Well, not months, like a little bit. Just put someone in the seat already. What do you got to lose? Literally, what do you got to lose at this point? Just do what the NC law says and run another primary election and be done with it. Next story. There is officially no more war. Mexico's president declares an end to the drug war amid skepticism. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador declared an end to the country's war on drugs Wednesday, announcing that the army would no longer prioritize crippling cartel bosses. Agence France Press reports, "There is officially no more war. We want peace, and we are going to achieve peace," he said at a daily press briefing after being asked if his government had captured any kingpins since he assumed office in December. "No capos have been arrested, because that is now our main purpose. The main purpose of the government is to guarantee public safety. What we want is security and to reduce the daily number of homicides." But the announcement drew skepticism and criticism from critics, who noted that the continued presence of the army, which had been deployed since 2006 to combat cartels, the focus on prosecuting kingpins, has fragmented drug gangs and fueled internal fighting. López Obrador swept into office promising to curb the widespread violence and to take a different approach, but his proposal to create a National Guard has fueled fears of a permanently militarized country. If AMLO is ending the drug war, go ahead. Go ahead. The drug war, there's a lot of problems with that. Just end it and be done with it. Basically, the article goes on to say how there's still currently a lot of military personnel being deployed at the moment. But I would say maybe it's because this is a policy that literally just happened. Maybe you should wait a bit before there's actually a big thing. Next story. Review of Wisconsin voting machines could be made public. Election security experts are watching Wisconsin court case stemming from the 2016 presidential recount that could result in the first public conclusions of whether or not the closely guarded ballot counting machines were hacked or failed to perform. The key question at the heart of this case is whether former Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein will be allowed to comment publicly on what her auditors find in a review of Wisconsin's voting machine's computer code. Stein's request for a recount in the presidential results in Wisconsin gives her the right to review the code under the state law. All the parties involved must sign an agreement to keep the property or information confidential. The voting machines manufacturers argue that the agreement should bar Jill Stein's group from making any conclusions or opinions based on the machine's performance public. A Madison judge in December gave Stein's experts permission to talk when the check has been completed. The audit hasn't been scheduled yet, which the court cases are still pending. The voting machines manufacturers have until Monday to appeal the ruling.
But it was Jill Stein who caused Russia to hack our elections. Why would she be trying to make the elections seem fairer?
It's why it's really stupid to pull Jill Stein into this Russiagate nonsense. She's clearly not part of it if she's trying to expose possible hacking in the machines. What more do you want? What more do you literally want Jill Stein to do? Unfortunately, the only thing that's going to make them happy is if Jill Stein tells everybody, I'm Putin's slut. That's all that's going to make people happy. And, well, it's never going to happen, so nobody's ever going to be happy. People are still going to say Jill Stein met with Putin and was like, you know what we should do? We should rig the presidential elections. Not for me, but we should rig them for Donald Trump. That's what people think is going on currently with the Jill Stein campaign. I mean, that's what people think. And I mean, it's even gotten to the point where Jill Stein has kind of refused to run for the Green Party nomination again. Though I'd say it's probably also because she wants new blood to be put into the party, and she actually wants people to actually like the party and get people to have a new face of the party, possibly certain people. Maybe I get to bring them to a debate here, maybe I get to interview them, I don't know. But she wants something to be done to make people, actually interested in the results and possibly show any problems. I mean, I'm open to the idea that there's some fishy things that might have happened. Like, for the whole Russiagate stuff and blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, speaking of Russiagate, I'll get to something else that's just kind of stupid in a second here. I'm willing to believe that there may have been some, like Donald Trump may have had business dealings to do in Russia or something that could potentially have him want business interests there. But I don't believe that Putin rigged the election and that Donald Trump is doing the bidding of Putin, because he's literally doing everything in his power to do stuff Putin doesn't like. Putin doesn't want him to get a war with North Korea. Putin doesn't want him to send troops to Syria. And if he pulled out, there's a lot of things that he stated afterwards that they might be putting more troops in Syria. But, Russia, nah. Speaking of Russia, I'm going to be playing a clip here that shows how stupid Russiagate and a certain person has been to make Russia seem like the big boogeyman. See if you can guess who it is.
It is like negative 50 degrees in the Dakotas right now. What would happen if Russia killed the power in Fargo today? Right? What would happen if all the natural gas lines that service Sioux Falls just poofed on the coldest day in recent memory, and it wasn't in our power whether or not to turn them back on? I mean, what would you do if you lost heat indefinitely as the act of a foreign power on the same day the temperature in your front yard matched the temperature in Antarctica? I mean, what would you and your family do?
Yes, Rachel Maddow literally insinuated that Russia has the ability to turn off power in the United States. Rachel Maddow is crazy. This is literally Glenn Beck style conspiracy theories. Scratch that. This isn't even Glenn Beck anymore. This is Alex Jones style. Can you imagine, like just picture this. Alex Jones saying this, let's say during the Obama administration. What if Obama gave Vladimir Putin the power to turn off the ability for the United States to have power, part of the globalist agenda, in order to make the frogs gay? That, literally, think about it in Alex Jones's voice. That does not make sense. We don't need to go to the internet to watch InfoWars. InfoWars is on TV right now. It's topsy-turvy land. InfoWars used to be the crazy show that was on the internet. Now all the InfoWars are on TV. And all of the sane news sources are on the internet. But anyways, the next story isn't a story, but an update on a vote. Currently, the 116th Congress had a vote in order to, the vote was saying how we need to help the Middle East and blah, 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 blah. But in actuality, the vote was to ban you from protesting against Israel. Yeah, this was a vote that was literally gonna ban people from protesting the Israeli government, which is killing the First Amendment. I don't think this was the vote, but I think this was the vote to have the vote, because they always have these votes where it's like, if they vote, and then they have to do amendments, and then they blah, 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 blah. But here's how the vote went in the Senate. Here are all the senators that voted against this bill. So technically, these are the senators that voted to keep the First Amendment in regards to the Israel-Palestine stuff. Baldwin, Booker, Brown, Carper, Durbin, Feinstein, Gillibrand, Harris, Heinrich, Hirano, Kane, Leahy, Merkley, Murphy, Peters, Reed, Sanders, Schatz, Shaheen, Udall, Van Hollen, and Warren. Notice a lot of those names, either currently announced or huge, really speculated presidential candidates. Maybe that's why some of them voted for it. Some of them, I think it would be logical for them to vote for them. Like, vote for this bill. Vote against the bill. But some of these might actually seem like maybe they're just voting against this bill because they want to be seen as, huge presidential contenders. Blah, blah, blah. You know how it is. Sometimes people just vote a certain way just to get the public to see them in a different way. But, some of these guys I can believe, honestly, vote for this bill. Vote against the bill. But anyways, now on to another thing. Update on 2020 presidential election. The first one I don't have an article attached to, but it's just going to be me ranting for a second. Howard Schultz has plans to run for president in 2020, not as a Democrat, but as an independent. Well, technically, it's actually an exploratory committee. He's not actually running at the moment. And if he can hear me, here's one thing I would tell him to do. Stop running. Because nobody wants Howard Schultz. Especially considering Howard Schultz doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Let me explain what Howard Schultz's plan is. His plan is to run a centrist campaign in 2020 as an independent because he feels the Democratic Party has gone too far left and that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is ruining the party, is making them have these promises that they're not allowed to keep. Now, let me explain some things. Here's actually the truth of the situation. Here's some things he cites. We can't pay for Medicare for all. I don't know why I gave him a Bill Clinton-ish voice, but, when in actuality, we can pay for Medicare for all. We can. We actually spend more money when we don't pay for Medicare for all. Well, actually, and the biggest thing that really bugs me are two things. and they kind of tie into each other, but the first thing is this. He keeps saying, like, oh, the American people, like he points out, like, poll numbers on independents. Pretty much saying, like, the majority of American people, they don't identify as a Democrat or Republican anymore. They identify as an independent, meaning that they're, like, you see, the Democrats, they're too far left. Republicans are too far right. All these independents, they're in the center. We need to work to get to the center. And in actuality, that is not true. I am living proof that is not true. I am not an independent because the Democratic Party is too far left. I am an independent because the Democratic Party is not far left enough. If they were more left, I would be fully on board being a Democrat. But the thing is, they are not. And the thing is, the majority of the American people, they're on the same page. A lot of these positions, Medicare for all, 70% approval rating. Legalizing weed, 61% approval rating. You know, all these positions, and here's the funniest part. He even cites a specific one where he says, nobody wants Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to have a 70% marginal tax rate on the top 1%. When in fact, polls literally released after she said that, stated that, yeah, a good majority of the American people want that. Because guess what? They don't have to worry about that tax because they don't have millions of dollars. The reason you're against it is because you will be affected by the tax. And another thing is, here's another thing. He always is trying to be like, we need this. And much like all these other Democrats that are running, like Kamala Harris. Do you want to know what his platform is? Here's his riveting platform. Bring America together. Put Americans back to work. Wow! What a riveting platform! I am so freaking excited for Howard Schultz 2020. Look, nobody cares what you're against. Can you tell us what you're for? That's my problem with centrism in general. They're always talking about, like, oh, they're too left, they're too right, we need to come to the middle. Oh, yeah, but can you actually explain what you mean by in the middle? No. Like, there's this hilarious comic from the Nib that explains, like, just the hilarious idea of, like, super ultra centrism, where it's like, one person's like, I think we should have universal healthcare, and then the other person's like, Sieg Heil, death to Jews. And then the centrist is like, I can't tell these guys apart. Wow, this is just, like, he's clearly on, like, the idea of the horseshoe theory. Another problem I have with the Howard Schultz 2020 idea is he's aiming for the wrong people. Howard Schultz, this isn't how it works. You don't aim for the Democratic Party loyalists that'll vote blue no matter who. Instead, here's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to run with the Democrats, win the nomination because you can pay them $1 million, and then say, well, you gotta vote for me. The centrists, that's what they do in the Democratic Party. They're supposed to win the nomination and then tell the progressive, well, if you don't like it, you could form your own party, but you can't because you'll spoil the election for me. And the funny part is, Democratic Party loyalists, at least some of them are honest enough to attack both Schultz and Stein because they believe that Schultz will be the Jill Stein of 2020 if he runs his candidacy and that he should just run as a Democrat. But I honestly don't want Schultz to run, period. Why would I want Howard Schultz to be president? Nobody wants Howard Schultz to be president. But the funny thing is, these guys, they would honestly 100% be fully on board with Howard Schultz for president if he was running as a Democrat. They'd be like, well, cool, the cool guy who runs my coffee company, he's running for president. That'd be really cool to have him so I could get free coffee for all. I mean, honestly, that would probably get him the millennial vote. But, you know, he's just, and another thing is, Just the idea that he thinks that he can do a Ross Perot or a John B. Anderson. It's not 1990 anymore. Centrism is dead. Nobody cares about centrism. Even my poli-sci professor, who keeps touting the idea of these centrist Democrats running a 2020 campaign, has stated that he thinks that the pivot is dead. Don't run to the center in the general election, he says. The centrist amount of the people who identify as centrists, it's very low. Run to your base. That's what Donald Trump did, and that's what he won. He ran to his base. He didn't move to the moderate side of his policy when he got his nomination. He moved to his base, and that's what you're supposed to do. And the Democratic Party base wants Medicare for all. They want free college. They want, legal weed. They want the wars to end. They don't want Howard Schultz. And speaking of another person they don't want, Cory Booker makes it official. He's running for president in 2020. Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey is the latest Democrat to enter the increasingly crowded race for the White House, making the initial announcement with a message of unity. "We are better when we help each other," Booker says in a video message. "I believe that we can build a country where no one is forgotten and no one is left behind, where parents can put food on the table, where there's good paying jobs with good benefits in every neighborhood, where our criminal justice system keeps us safe instead of suffocating children, shuffling more children into cages." Cory Booker. Or should I say Diet Obama? Because that's honestly all that Cory Booker is. All he is Diet Obama. And I will never vote for him if he becomes the nominee. And I know that'll make Ben Mankiewicz mad as hell, but I don't care. I'm not voting for Cory Booker, and I never will. I mean, let's look at some of his riveting left-wing positions that make him really make people really love him. He describes himself as a new Democrat, meaning he's a centrist. Okay. He's stated that he wants to keep charter schools. Okay. He voted against getting us cheaper drugs. Okay. He only started becoming in favor of Medicare for all after 2016. Okay. He only stopped refusing to take corporate PAC money after 2016. Okay. Why would I get excited for Cory Booker? Nobody should get excited for Cory Booker. But go ahead, Cory. Run. I will tweet him right freaking now about his plan for 2020. If he does not use my official Cory in the House official tweet, then I will not be ever helping him at all. That's the only way I'm going to help him. I'm giving him that. He needs to use that. I mean, honestly, to be fair, if he wants to win something, if he wants to get second place or something, he would at the very least, use Cory in the House as a thing. To be frank, I think he'd be in the top 10 Democrats to win the nomination in 2020. I don't know. Lower than 5 or higher than 6? He's not going to be number 1. I know that for a fact. I gotta decide who's going to truly be in the top 10 power rankings. I know who number 1's going to be, but, I think it'd be best if I find some other Democrats to help fill in the spots with at least some actual reasoning behind them. I have all reasonings for number 1, but I don't have much reasonings for how the rest of the list would go, so I'm going to have to try and figure it out. The next thing is the third-party presidential candidate of the day, Princess Khadija M. Jacob Frambo. Princess for president in 2020, the official president for the 99%. It's going to take a woman to clean up the White House, building a nation of love. Her platform, her candidacy, her political party, I think, is like the Revolution. It's the Revolutionary Party or something. Here's her here's all of her stuff. Like, here's her platform. Legalizing cannabis in all 50 states. Universal basic income for all. Stopping police brutality. Ending government corruption. Equal pay for women. Ending mass incarceration. Ending homelessness. Ending the war on drugs. Ending black on black crime. Ending domestic violence. Creating jobs/employment. Expose CPS. Healthcare for all. Help for mentally ill. Create affordable housing. End sex trafficking of children. End drug trafficking and human trafficking. Police our own community, and the list goes on. I mean, she sounds like a really good candidate. She probably would have a lot more attention if she ran for, like, the Green Party nomination. Or, like, the Peace and Freedom Party. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay. Now on the actual topic of the video, I am going to talk about another thoughts on video. Jesse Lee Peterson. I chose him because Black History Month, and I was going to pick him or Candace Owens. I felt that I should get Jesse Lee Peterson out of the way. Because, well, Jesse Lee Peterson is a very interesting political figure, I'd have to say. Let me read some of his Wikipedia page so you have a better understanding on who the hell he is. Jesse Lee Peterson is an American conservative pundit, minister, author, and media personality. He's the host of the Jesse Lee Peterson Show, a national radio show which airs on Newmax TV and the Fallen State TV web series. He is also president and founder of the Brotherhood Organization for New Destiny, a religious 501c3 nonprofit organization created for family values. So he's a reverend. That's one thing. That can be a plus or a minus depending on who you are. Now I'm just going to get to his political stuff. He's a member of the Choose Black America, an organization of African Americans who oppose illegal immigration in the United States. He's a member of the advisory board on Project 21, a conservative African American group organization. He serves as the national advisory board on the right-wing group Accuracy in Media, and is a former board member of the California Christian Coalition. Peterson also established a National Day of the Repudiation of Jesse Jackson event, which lasted from 1993 to 2004. 1999 to 2004. Sorry, I'm talking in stroke speech. Which was held outside of Jackson's office in Los Angeles. Political views. On September 21st, 2005, Peterson penned a column for the World Net Daily in which he suggested that a majority of African American people stranded in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina were relying on the government to save them. Well, I would assume that maybe the government should save them if they're stranded. Peterson once called for the resignation of the Republican National Committee Chairman, Michael Steele, saying that he was not conservative enough, but that Republicans were afraid of firing a black man. He revealed in a video released on March 5th, 2012, his belief that
one of the greatest mistakes that America made was to allow women the opportunity to vote.
That is not good. And here's another crazy thing that he has said.
It's 2018 in America. Does racism exist?
Absolutely not. And it has never existed.
Yeah, Jesse Lee Peterson hasn't really gotten a lot of fans from the African community in that regard. I mean, to an extent, many people even consider him an Uncle Tom. Like, legitimately. Not saying black conservatives are Uncle Toms, but I'm just saying it doesn't seem that, the idea is very strange to say that it has never existed, that racism has never existed. I literally just recorded a video where I mentioned that they had racism in science textbooks. Racism has existed. And it still exists. You could say, oh, well, racism today isn't as prevalent as it was before. Back then, you could just lynch an African American with no consequence. But now, if you do that, you'll go to jail. Yes, fair point. But you can't say, oh, blah, 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 blah. Racism never existed at all. It's a made-up word. And Jesse Lee Peterson has also expressed some major disagreements with people like Jesse Jackson and, like Al Sharpton, those kinds of people. Even saying, like, how they abuse civil rights to be part of their personal gain. And how, here's a big clip from when he appeared on Fox News to explain how MLK wouldn't have supported these African-American unions.
Union workers who say that Martin Luther King would appreciate their fight, when in fact, he went to Memphis, Tennessee to show support, they say, to municipal sanitation workers who were on strike at the time. Now, They say that he was sympathetic to the working man, and that ipso facto he would be sympathetic to the working man public workers cause today. Do you buy that?
No. Dr. King was sympathetic to the black workers there because they were discriminated based on color alone, because they were black. Dr. King did not go there to give them support so that they could give power and control to the unions. Today, the unions are using the workers in order to gain money and power to vote in Democrats that they believe agree with their agenda. And Dr. King was never about that. He would not be in agreement with that.
I don't think so. I think he would be in support of both the unions and Democrats, to be quite honest. Because, one, he constantly voted for Democrats. He voted for Adlai Stevenson, he voted for JFK, he voted for LBJ. He voted for all of them and pressured pretty much everybody else to vote for them as well. And here's another thing about MLK you might not have known. He's a socialist. MLK was a socialist. Malcolm X was a socialist. Huey Newton was a socialist. Eldridge Cleaver was a socialist. Bayard Rustin was a socialist. All of these large civil rights African-American leaders, they were socialists. Because socialism actually addressed the problems that African-Americans had. Capitalism was like, pull yourself over your bootstraps. Socialism was like, no, we're gonna help you with that. You're really down on your luck. You have no money, no power. Let's give you some money and a little bit of power, and then you can get on equal footing with the rest of us. And MLK was a socialist. Albeit of the democratic variety, because he wanted to accomplish this via a political revolution rather than a guns a-blazing revolution. Malcolm X was probably just more of the revolutionary type socialist, but he was a socialist, and he was a socialist until he died. I mean, I'm not kidding. Here's a clip of him actually explaining how he felt.
We must also realize that the problems of racial injustice and economic injustice cannot be solved without a radical redistribution of political and economic power.
Yeah, redistribution of wealth, pretty socialist idea. Though, I will say, Jesse Lee Peterson, at least he has, if he has valid criticisms of them, alright. Because you can't say, oh, well, Jesse Lee Peterson, he was just a spoiled brat who was living through after the civil rights movement. Jesse Lee Peterson actually participated in the civil rights movement. And yeah, there probably were some conservative African Americans that were part of the civil rights movement. But, there were a good majority of them that weren't. A lot of them were socialists. Or at least progressive in some way. And this isn't going to be purely shitting on Jesse Lee Peterson. I will say there are some, at least kind of positive things. He is very open to debate. I mean, like Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, Jordan Peterson, all these other guys, they're like really scared of a debate. When's the last time you've seen any of those guys actually have a opposing political viewpoint on their channel or some kind? All Dave Rubin has is right-wingers on his channel. Now, Jesse Lee Peterson, he has debated a lot of people. Hassan Piker, Destiny, Jacqueline Glenn, and he even went out of his way to correct an error that was made on behalf of him and Politico. Here's a brief story of Politico. Kyle Kulinski of Secular Talk was having a bit of a problem because he was going to debate Ann Coulter, but Ann Coulter chickened out at the last second, so then he didn't have anybody to debate. So then he floated around all these ideas of some, right-wing YouTuber that he could debate. He's like, hey, can I debate Jesse Lee Peterson or Candace Owens or Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro or Dave Rubin or any of these guys? And Politico said, no, you're going to debate Scotty Neal Hughes. He was like, well, okay. Why can't I debate those guys? And they said, oh, because all those guys turned him down. And then Kyle Kulinski was like, yo, what the F, bro? They all turned me down? They're all a bunch of right-wing chickens. Right-wing snowflakes, right-wing snowflakes, right-wing snowflakes. And then Jesse Lee Peterson was like, wait, hold on. I was not made aware of this debate prospect. And then he called up Kyle Kulinski and said, yo, bro, Politico never contacted me for a debate with you. Why don't we, debate? And then they did, like a little after Politicon, not Politico. I'm pretty sure I kept saying Politico when I meant to say Politicon. But, I give Jesse Lee Peterson that. He's at the very least, actually open to debate. I can't say that much for Ben Shapiro or any of these guys because pretty much every single left-wing YouTuber calls on these guys to debate all the time. And even Ben Shapiro, he goes on like a crazy baby rant, like, why would Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez debate me? I offered her money. I thought all socialists love money. And then Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was like, nah, I'm currently running for office right now. Why won't you debate me? 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 Dude, the way you keep talking to me, it's like you're catcalling me. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said I was catcalling her. Let's shame her. I was even trying with that Ben Shapiro impression. But, I give Jesse Lee Peterson, at least that. If you're a right-winger and you're actually open to debate, alright, fine. Debate all you want. I even give Razorfist a pass on a lot of his, not a pass, but at least a shred of honesty. At least he's actually going to debate the issues. Even if he doesn't agree with all the issues, or the debate leads to nothing, at least he took the time out of his day to hear the opposing side. I mean, granted, Jesse Lee Peterson's debate was kind of cut up because he was doing it on a radio show. But, radio's a dying format, but Jesse Lee Peterson's an older man. Debates are really, radio's his thing. So, anyways, that's pretty much all I got about Jesse Lee Peterson, because I don't really care too much about him. Overall, he's not my thing. I think he's rather dumb. But hey, Jesse Lee Peterson, he could be, at least I give him the honesty of being an honest debater. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when a video of mine comes out. And if you're interested in more political content from me, you can go to my website or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Quora, or you can check out my articles on the Independent Political Report. What are your thoughts on Jesse Lee Peterson? Do you think he's an honest conservative? Do you think he's a lying conservative? Or do you think he's an Uncle Tom? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below.